This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The hosts are not trained professionals, and their opinions come solely from personal experience. In this episode, we discuss fictional depictions of trauma and violence that may not be suitable for all audiences. Please take care of yourselves. Specific content warnings for each episode can be found in the show notes. Events in the media are discussed in approximate order of escalation. This episode contains spoilers.
Hi, I'm Nicole.
And I'm Robin. And today on Books the Bird, we have a guest.
Again.
Hello. It's me. It's Heather. I am here.
It's me, Heather.
Yay. So for our factions, we have Lula, Alex, Rose, Max, Nova, the mom, the dad, and the Lady de la Muerte.
No names for you. Mother and father. That's it.
Yes. I'm sure there's a name in the book somewhere, but
Yeah.
I'm very bad at the names of characters' parents. I'm
That's fair.
chronically bad at it.
Somewhere it exists, probably.
Also, I took French in high school, not Spanish. Please forgive any pronunciation things. The Casimuertos are our first kind of group of characters for our minor character spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
They are meaningfully, actually I would say functionally, but not meaningfully distinct from standard zombies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to push a little bit back on that to say that there are, I don't know, there are several things that you could consider to be standard, so maybe that's not a helpful thing to say.
They are a
They do,
zombie-esque.
they transmit by death, not just a bite.
This is true.
They have to actually kill you to reanimate you. They have some consciousness. They're not mindless and just hungry. They go through phases where they become more and less human looking and sounding and acting. We can't just say they're a zombie. Like, if we're gonna outline that, we can't say picture your typical zombie.
This is what I mean, but this is what I mean by functionally but not meaningfully distinct. Like, there are, like, differences in, like, the exact mechanics of how it gets to being a creature that you can generally react to the way you can generally react
but
to most
I would
zombies.
say that a specific thing that is addressed in this book is how much consciousness and how much real life is to them. So I would say that there actually is a piece of that thinking on it that is meaningful to the story, because it's this person, they're alive, they're fine, it's okay, and it's like, no.
And we don't have really good examples of this, but the book doesn't really focus on the zombies that are not, like, our main character squad. But if you think about the zombie having that functionality sometimes and not others, and literally infecting the people physically closest to it by killing them, I'm sure there are, in a way that you can't really have in a lot of movies and in a lot of zombie situations in our media, you can literally have a zombie going, oh no, I murdered my best friend or family or whatever, and knowing that they did it because they are awake and remember, and they're dead too, and they're grappling with that. Like, there's so many ways that this actually gives us agency later, and like, there's so many, like, spiraling things to this that are incredibly meaningful.
They are zombie adjacent who have consciousness, and that plays into the story.
Yes.
They are also personally creepy enough, but just enough. But not so bad that I have to chuck the book from the description.
I'm glad, because I would never hand a book to you saying, please read these zombie book. What I did say was, hey, please read this trilogy. with us, I really want you to get to book 3.
Yeah.
I will admit I was not really thinking about the zombies in the middle in terms of getting you to read this with us.
And the Casimuertos are very interesting, I would say, as well, because as Nicole pointed out, that they are, they spring from death. It's not a bite. It's not a curse. It is a curse, but it's not just a curse. It's like, it's not just you as an individual, I have cursed you, and therefore you are affected as you are cursed.
It's curse-ish.
And therefore it impacts all of these people that are connected to you. And it's really, if you want to drive the guilt game home, it's a good way to do it.
Yeah,
that's our next topic.
Yeah, so they are set up very well, and they are used effectively.
And also, like, the particular version of our zombies are different, leads to someone being like, oh no, I'm a zombie. But also, I've killed my parents.
Yeah.
But also their hearts look tasty.
Yeah.
And you can get that in like 5 minutes. And then it's like, nah, I'm good. I feel great. You feel great because you ate your parents' hearts. Yep, I feel great.
There are so many books that try to set up a atmosphere of fear, an atmosphere of building tension, and you get these lulls in them, and you're like, oh, we're safe, and then you're not. Now it's been a couple months since I actually read the book, but I can't remember from when everything kicks off them having an actual period of time where they're like, everything's good. They're just like, everything isn't good and I'm still standing.
Yeah, it's just panic forever as they try to hurriedly fix everything.
And the threat is still constantly being built. There is still constantly more stuff happening, but the underlying goal and threat also is very continuous, which is really cool. And
also,
yeah, I think they're written very well.
There's a thing with how some secondary characters wanted to try and solve this, where they're basically trying to treat it like a standard, like, infectious type of zombie. And they're like, yeah, we just should, like, kill all of them and that'll stop it. I feel, I wonder if, because of the particular mechanism, whether any collateral damage caused by whatever they did to stop it would just, like, make more of them.
Oh,
like, duh. Trying to tamp out a fire with a blanket, but, like...
I don't mean
it sets it on fire at the... Like, it sets it on fire at the edges. I feel like you'd get the zombie version of that would happen.
It's... it's not an infection that you can tame because you have to go at the heart of it. You can mitigate it, kind of, maybe, but it's not going to be solved unless you actually get the heart of it taken care of.
And I feel like that is such a good way to discuss this series, because you can try and do stuff around the edges, but it's not solved until you get at the heart of it, is kind of the thesis statement of this series.
And you also need to take care of the stuff around the edges, but they are not your top priority. It's the concept of, like, you do need to address whatever symptoms are going on, but if the symptoms aren't immediately life-threatening and you can focus on the main reason for the issue, do that, because then that's going to stop the symptoms. But if the symptoms are immediately life-threatening, handle them first. Then take care of the thing.
Family relationship triage is like a huge thing in this trilogy, and it's great.
It just continues.
All right, so about that guilt we mentioned, that this series, this whole family, they have a lot of guilt. They're good at going to guilt as, like, one of their big emotions.
So
after
there is a concept of you either react to things happening in your world as it's an external cause or an internal cause. And there are a lot of people who, and I don't know if this is nature or nurture or whatever, I'm not a psychologist, but it's the idea that if somebody yells at you, you're either, how dare you yell at me, that's on you, or you're either, how dare you yell at me, what did I do? And this entire family is, what did I do? How is it my fault? How did I cause it? And sometimes it's true, and sometimes it's not.
You say the entire family. I have a feeling I haven't gotten to rereading Wayward Witch quite yet. I think Rose is more the other type, but Alex and Lula are absolutely the what did I do type. Yep, that tracks. So Lula,
Rose at least copies a lot of her siblings' thought patterns.
Yeah.
Well, but Lula definitely is like, there is some aspects where the family, whether rightfully or not, is like, you did this to me, but it's you did this to me and I don't want to hurt you, so I'm gonna hold on to it, which is also not healthy. Lula, a piece of this, I would say she shares responsibility for, and a lot of it she doesn't, but a key piece of it she does.
Okay, so, like, it is not Lula's fault that we have bus crashes, everyone dies.
Yeah, that's like,
not that on her. That is not her fault. But because she has this really, really intense survivor's guilt, and then there's also, so she has, like, the general survivor's guilt of, I'm the only one who looks like they're gonna make it out of this bus crash alive.
And it's an intense crash as well.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil details because they're a little bit gory, but there is a situation with how they are in the bus where one, but not both, of her and Max could survive, and the paramedics, for, triage reasons, decided to prioritize her. And so she, like, can't move, she can't do anything, and she hears them talking about how they are deciding to prioritize saving her and not her ex-boyfriend. And it means that, like, she has all this, like, time to stew in having, like, her only thoughts through all, like, the meds and, like, them trying to save her life and whatever. Her only thoughts are that she wants them to save Max, but she can't communicate it. She can't really tell anyone.
She can't.
And then she wakes up. Yeah, and then she wakes up and they're like, sorry, he is technically not dead, but basically dead.
It was literally,
like,
she has survivor's guilt, and the thought of, like, I couldn't save him, I couldn't do anything, and the weirdly helpful but not helpful conversation that she overhears of them saying that, when it's like, you can't hold on to the guilt that someone else made a choice. Someone else made that choice. You did not tell them to save you. You wanted them to save him. You can't. But she takes this thought of, like, I should have done more. I should have been able to save them. Move my cats. Please do not step on that. And
I would like to contextualize for our listeners, our audience. This is the zombies version of the Princess Bride, mostly dead, slightly alive. It's that. But instead of Wesley coming back to real life, it's as if Wesley came back as a zombie.
And so then Lula goes and does instigate a thing that does actually have repercussions and causes the Casimuertos to be a thing. Casimuertos? Probably. To be... Casimuerto. There we go. To, like, exist. And she's not free of the consequence either. And so then she has genuine guilt, but that would actually, I don't remember correctly. Yeah, she like pushes against it a little bit of, like, I was just trying to do this. This isn't my fault. Oh, but it is. Like, like, denial because of what it would mean.
We'll get to the thing she is actually responsible for our last topic.
Yeah.
But, like, Yeah, she has a bunch of guilt over the thing that, like, literally isn't her fault. And not nearly as much guilt over, like, by the time she gets to the point where she does the thing that breaks things and makes most of the plot happen,
she's in
by
denial.
The time she does that, yeah, she's past the guilt phase.
I took things into my own hand and I did this and I made it better. She took guilt over things that wasn't her fault and then tried to fix it.
And in terms of the author like setting this up, I think it's, talking about this trilogy in this way and noticing how, this is the second time in the trilogy where we've had some kind of guilt as a topic. It's, I don't know, it makes them feel more like a family. Like, that's not the only way to have your characters be a family, but, like, emotionally, there's, like, resonance between them. Mm-hmm.
There's,
in, like, how they, like, the emotional, like, background to them.
You have a very
like, prompts them to this.
This is how this family was formed. And then each individual, based off of their age and what happened when they were at what age and what they remember and everything, molded a little differently. But you're right. It's like they have the same clay, and that's very clear. They were raised by the same person. They had a lot of the same teachings pushed onto them. And then just how they reacted to it is unique with each one of them. But there is that consistent... because even the third book has I don't know if we'll choose it as a topic, but there's some guilt there too.
Yeah.
It's a very, the world is on my shoulders family.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's fair, and sometimes it's not.
Well, the thing is, they decide that the world is on their shoulders now. And then they make a choice. And then, oopsie daisy, that was not a good decision. And now the world actually is on my shoulders because I just locked everybody else out of it. Yeah. Goodbye resources.
Yeah. They're just like, this is up to me. And everyone else is like, is it up to you? Oh, yeah, now it is.
Now it is.
Good luck, have fun. Oh no, yeah, how do we...
and that's a thing that, like, in this book, explicitly... Mm-hmm. Not in book 1, but in this book explicitly, our protagonist was told, hey, we know you want to, but depending on the person saying this, between 20 to probably 80 years of life experience and magical life experience ahead of you, and we're telling you, hey, don't mess with this because you will harm the whole area around you magically and physically. And she goes, but I'm sad because I lived. And, like, It's not as simple as that. Like, it matters more than that to a character, and it matters more than that to a person when you have that type of guilt or guilty feeling. But, like, that's literally, from a plot perspective, that's what it was. She was told, don't do that. We know better, and we are teaching you better, and we know that you could do it without us. Don't do it. And she was like, but actually, what if I did, though? And they were like, hey, we could help you fix this. And she was like, no.
Because it won't fix what I want fixed.
It won't do what I want. So I'm not going to take your help to heal as a person. Instead, I'm just going to do this thing. And then after that, of course, they're not going to help her and they're not going to trust her. And, like, why should they also? And also, now it really is on her shoulders for #spoiler reasons. Like,
I'm trying to think.
My experience as I think the only person who hadn't read the series before we started doing it for these recordings.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I just also haven't reread them. So
you bought them? Wait, no, you bought them to read?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You heard the premise and said, I need this. Okay.
Robin said, hey, do you want to record a trilogy about siblings? And I said, yeah, sure. What are the books? These are the books? Okay, cool. And I was at Barnes & Noble, so I said, okay.
Oh, okay.
Can you send them to my house? Awesome, thanks. It was a very short time frame.
But both of you had read it and then had time to digest it.
Yes.
I literally read them and then we are recording these. And my experience with reading this book has just been me reading on my couch going, just stop touching things. Stop it. Leave it alone. Don't touch. Bad. No more touching for you. Put your hands in your pockets and fucking chain them there and leave them alone. Don't touch. No more.
I feel like it's a really good, like, if you look at, like, a toddler who breaks a thing and then wants to try and help, and they're not going to do it. It's not, honey,
they're not helping. Like,
come away, let me wash your hands. No, I need, no, toddler, that's glass. Like, come here.
Okay,
toddler grabs flour off the counter, knocks it onto the floor, and then panics and says, Mommy, help. And Mom comes to the kitchen and goes, okay, stop moving. And the toddler starts flailing out of fear.
So, like, I mean, I think about... I think about the engineer's triangle a lot because it's a very useful thing that I learned in engineering school.
Can you TLDR that in under 10 seconds? Because I don't know.
Yes, I can. Okay. Engineer's triangle, fast, cheap, or well. Pick any two. You cannot have all three.
I do know what this is. Okay.
And, like, those aren't the exact words for this, but there's, like, an engineer's triangle problem is what's going on here. Because...
It's also a musician's triangle problem.
Also,
payment,
what?
Time, or quality.
Yes. Yeah. That's a different way of saying
is
it.
Either sleep, friends, or school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, Lula, wants to be in a relationship, wants Max to be alive, and wants him to love her. It's something close.
She wants
close.
Him alive.
I don't quite have.
She wants her healed, and she wants him to love her.
And more than love her, because
cherish, like,
support her.
Something.
They want the relationship.
She actually wants his emotional
having
support.
That then led to the breakup, which is like the very beginning,
right?
And
Eclipse,
and because she was initially unhappy when he was alive, but they weren't going to be together.
I apologize for the tail flicks and the meows in the background if you hear them. Eclipse is protesting getting off of my desk or not sitting on sewing supplies.
But yeah, the more pieces of that triangle she loses, the more she clings to insisting that she needs to have all three.
Yeah.
And her accepting that not only is she not going to have all three, but she's not really going to have any of them is like the emotional arc of the book, is her accepting that.
Yeah. Accepting it and releasing herself from, like, having to fix it. Also.
Right. Releasing from some of the guilt.
Yeah.
On to Lula and Life Drain.
Yay.
All right. So
can I just say before we totally get into the discussion, I really like the intricacies of how this works, and I really like that it kind of feels like a murder mystery in a good way, where like we don't actually know what happened until Lulu finds out what happened, and she's wrong several times. It's very good. It feels like we're on a detective mission as she panics and scrambles and tries to figure out what is happening. And I really appreciate it. If anybody likes, like, detective stories that are good detective stories and also zombies, you'll love this book.
Yes, they're definitely, like, investigating and trying to figure out what's happening. And
there's a lot of trying to keep the audience in without giving you all of the everything.
And, as the one of us who read it twice, it holds up on the reread.
Good.
Like,
that's hard to do, yeah.
I think maybe if I'd read it, like, literally back to back, but with a year in between, it was like, oh yeah, vaguely remembered. Like, even remembering what the reason was, it still worked because, like, the emotional hook is, like, it has a mystery feeling, but since the emotional hook isn't the mystery, and, most mystery stories that are designed to be read more than one time, like,
the hook is not the mystery. The hook is definitely the actions that our protagonists are taking and how they are impacting the people around her. It's just that if you like murder mystery books,
Yes, this might give some of that feeling.
This will give you that feeling.
It definitely,
as long as you go into it knowing you are reading a zombie movie or a zombie book, and then you just get that extra good layer on top of it if you like things like that.
It starts, if you're somebody who tries to solve
every puzzle,
it will start that.
You could get annoyed with this one. You can get annoyed if you're trying to solve it, because they legitimately do not tell you ahead of time.
Or you can do one of my favorite things, or if you are the person who does one of my accidental favorite things, which is you accidentally read books out of order, and then you're trying to put the plot together. I'm sorry, I have had too many series where I look at the book and I'm like, it's a singular book, right? There's no numbers on it. There's no series on it. I flip through it. I check. I had the librarian start checking. I had Robin check for a series at one point. And then I read it and I finish it and I'm like, wow, there was a lot missing. Book 5? What are you saying? Like, I've done that to too many different series that every time I'm like, is this a standalone? It's not gonna be, but that's fine. And I've just gotten really good at like putting together plot points because I'm missing so much, so that now with books like this where it's like, what's happening and why, I'm like, I wonder if this is what's going on behind the scenes. And I'm not always right, but it's a fun.
So for anyone who stumbled onto this episode and this is the first one you're checking out for our podcast, this is episode 2 of a series of 3 episodes.
Go back.
Bruja Born is the second book in the Brooklyn Brujas trilogy by Zoraida Córdova.
The events that are referenced in the beginning of the book, there's a whole book about it. Like, go read the thing.
Yeah, this is book 2 and episode 2 of our little thing.
I haven't done that in a while, thankfully. But Lula, with what I think is really fun from like what we were saying in topic 2, and I say fun as somebody enjoying the book, not fun for the character.
It's not fun for Lula.
Not fun for Lula. Is the, oh no, I broke it. You didn't break it. I gotta fix it. Please don't fix it. There, I fixed it. No, honey, you effed it up.
You broke it more.
You made it worse. And this time she actually did, very intentionally, do the exact thing that she should not have.
Yeah.
Like.
Also, because it is... Okay, so this will be a very minor spoiler. When we say life drain, which is, this topic, all of the zombies, all the Casimuertos are tied to Lula and what she did trying to save Max, and then how him being dead, how she tried too hard to save him and ended up maybe sort of saving everybody who died in the bus crash. And the more they intersect with other people's lives and kill them, because they're zombies, the more they kill people, then those people are then also rising as Casimuertos. And all of their lives are sustained by Lula.
Which means it's slowly ripping her
supplemented,
away and...
It's supplemented by how many hearts they can eat, but also Lula. And so the more of these are, the worse the problem is, and also the more it's slowly killing her. And there's a thing that's growing inside her that gets pulled out at one point that is, it's gross.
It's very...
I was alright, but on the things, it's gross. Personally, I'm fine, but it gets a CW for gore. So, that kind of a thing.
It is described with some detail, and it's definitely...
Yes.
She can't just sit there going, okay, well, let's just... I guess we can destroy them all. It's like, oh, we actually have to tackle this growth. We have to actually stop this. And then the question becomes, how do they do that? And what's the consequence of that? And what's the cost of that? And one of the things, and correct me, both of you who reread it more recently. So we have, she breaks Death.
Yes,
and Death's response is, fix it. And she's like, how? And Death goes, I don't know, fix it. And it's just like, because death doesn't know either.
You break it, you buy it. And is kind of the vibes.
And so that's where I was like, correct me if she did know and just refused to tell it, but I was pretty sure she was like, I don't know. People don't do this. Put it back. And so it's a race against the clock.
Yep, and there's kind of cryptic clues. Oh, gosh. But part of what with the whole like life drain, and that there's actually like a thing growing in her that shouldn't be in her. I like how narratively, because like if they had just, you know, they fixed the thing and the Casimuertos are all done and that's it. Like, I don't know, it would have felt like too easy or like weirdly cheap or something. Mm-hmm. But
there wouldn't have been a significant cost to the significant thing that was done.
Yeah. Like even, I mean, and this, even like stuff with like the magic system. Yeah, you can get healed, but you'll get like, the person who heals you will have like blowback on them where they have like a version of it echoing on their body. Not as bad as the thing they healed, but still bad enough to hurt.
Remind me about that for favorite non-traumatic thing. It's not that, but I have a thought connected to that as my favorite non-traumatic thing.
Okay.
So, yes.
But so with, with like that, you know, that system of like the magical blowback that's been going on for this whole series. It's just part of how the magic works. And I really appreciated how it's not quite the same thing, but like the Casimuertos being tied to like this thing growing in her. It felt like, you know, it's part of this same kind of system. And I like the physicality of consequence throughout this series.
They very much drive home the do not mess with this thing because it is so important and so not easily, but like, you know, if you do something, it's going to be catastrophic. And then when something is done, it follows through. So it's not for the reader built up to a point of like, oh no, how dare they? Oh, that's all? Okay, whatever. It's like, oh no, they really messed up.
And like we are, I mean, because of the, you know, nature of the trilogy and, you know, which bits of someone's life make the best book plot, we're, of course, seeing mostly the places where they break something and things go very wrong. But like the stuff like each family, you know, having their book of all the stuff that has been written in and lovingly held together and patched over for decades or centuries, like going down these lines. And I wish we saw a little bit more of that in the books of like people following the stuff that like all this guidance
we have
and
a little
like
bit with this family of like they have certain things that they try first before they result to the craziness.
That's true. They do have some stuff.
And then so it's established, but it's not explored a lot.
Yeah, but like the my main thought with this is that like we're running into a lot of the, well, you broke it, somebody better fix it. But in the but that's partly because the magic system is built so much on there is a lot
responsibility.
Responsibility. And also there's a lot of practice of like, it works if you do it this way. Please, for the Deus, do it this way. And then when people don't, then it doesn't work and stuff breaks. And, you know, I kind of understand the other Brujas in the council being like, all right, your family just keeps causing trouble. Because they do.
Can you all chill for like 10 seconds?
No, because when I chill, I get depressed and then I sit in my thoughts. Like, there's so much of that as well of like, they don't process stuff. Lula, like, after causing all of this, in this section, she actually did cause the thing. After doing all of this, oh, my cat, get off my shoulder. He's trying so hard. It's not going well. Sorry. So after she does all of this, she then, as we said earlier, is kind of past the guilt stage and is on to the denial stage. So she doesn't want to talk about it because she doesn't want to face how bad it is. She doesn't want to face what the actual consequence is. She doesn't want to face what the actual problem is because of what it will mean to her and her life. But she's not telling anyone her fears. She's not expressing what she's concerned about. And then she kind of gets slapped in the face with it. And it's like, you literally need to fix this. Otherwise, your boyfriend is not the only person
We're gonna die.
Dead.
Yeah.
Like
he's already not, and it's gonna get worse.
Yeah. You can't save him. So fix it.
Video games are a unique medium.
They can tell stories,
Immerse us in strange, fantastic worlds.
blur the very boundaries of our reality.
But at the end of the day, video games are fun. Whatever fun is to you.
I'm Jeff Moonen,
And I am Matt, aka Stormageddon.
and on Fun and Games, we talk about the history, trends, and community of video games.
It's a celebration of all the games we play and all the fun we find within them.
And there's so many more games out there, so we hope you'll share in that conversation with us.
Fun and Games podcast with Matt and Jeff. Find us on CPOV.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
And happy gaming.
On to the wrap up and ratings for Bruja Born. All right.
We have a guest.
Cannibalism.
We have a guest.
We have a guest.
Hello, guest. Please now tell us who you are.
Mwahaha.
Give us your plugs. Where can we find you? Who are you as a person?
Oh, that was so much stuff.
Save your pluggables for the very end.
Hi, I'm Heather. I am another sibling. Hi, that's me. Cool.
Our sibling, in fact.
Oh,
Wow.
Not just like someone else's sibling.
I don't know. I've been adopted into enough families. It's fine.
Someday we will get the elusive fifth sibling. We've talked about it for a long time.
One day. Mwahaha.
All right.
We have them. They're just not involved in the podcast.
That's true.
Yet.
We do have them. They just need to be extant.
All right. So for the wrap up for Bruja Born, for Cannibalism, this is somewhere between moderate and severe.
There are a lot of descriptions of it.
Yeah, I feel like probably severe.
I'm cool with severe.
Any one of the things could be okay, but it's just
even though it's the minimum of gore necessary for a book where we know exactly which organs are being eaten. So I'm gonna go with severe. Yep. All right. For survivor's guilt, severe. Like it
permeates
plot driving levels of severity. Yeah. And then I'd say the same. Life Chain is at least moderate. Yeah. Like
it underpins everything.
But it isn't actually like graphically described.
Yeah, and even when it could have been, the description is attributed to something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Integral, interchangeable, or irrelevant. You know what? The cannibalism, I'm going to say, I feel like that's actually interchangeable.
Oh.
What would you change it out for?
I mean, they could just be being killed, but no one's getting eaten.
You would change it out for another method of infection.
Well, yeah, right.
I'm answering Heather.
Okay.
That's why it's interchangeable, not irrelevant, is that we need a method of transmission.
Gotcha. Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, but even the cannibalism is enough distinct from the transmission that even changing that, like...
But you would have to... It is currently the method of transmission. You would need another, which is why it is interchangeable, because you have to have something.
Yeah.
Something has to exist.
I agree.
There, but it doesn't have to be the actual...
Right. I agree that if we put in another method of transmission, then it would be irrelevant, but that's two changes, which means that it's not just irrelevant. Like, we have to swap it for something else first, so it's interchangeable.
Yeah. Survivor's guilt.
Irrelevant.
Yeah, she did,
Sorry.
like, guilt... really...
Well, the survivors guilt... What... Okay,
she loved Max. She would not even have to have been on the bus in order for this plot to happen.
Yeah.
That's true.
She didn't have to be there. All she had to do was panic and do the thing that started the plot.
Yep.
And it's not even a interchangeable because the thing that would be driving her is already in the book. It is already a drive for her.
Yep, regardless of whether she's on the bus. I do think it makes a more full emotional landscape, but it is...
I mean, yeah, but a lot of irrelevant things make full emotional landscapes.
Yeah, because if you strip out... Like, that's the point of the thing.
Right.
I should say... Just, for the audience, a lot of the times when we say the thing is irrelevant, what we mean is you didn't need it in order for this trauma to happen. But also, if you always pulled them away,
the plot could have had something else, and you wouldn't really have had to change your story very much in general.
Yep. All right. For the life drain, that, I feel like that's interchangeable.
Integral? Interchangeable?
I think interchangeable. I think there's a lot of ways that, like, because of the timing of the importance for life drain in the plot, I feel like it could have been replaced with something that isn't literally that, but narratively serves the same purpose, like a magical domino effect of something.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Would do that. So for that reason, I'm voting for interchangeable for life drain. Was the trauma treated with care? Okay. So with the filter of this is YA, which gives like a certain ceiling to cannibalism, I'd say definitely enough.
I don't. Well,
But if you feel like me feeling like that's a caveat means the answer is not enough, then...
We have never before said, because of the genre, that I can remember. We've never given leeway for that.
I was trying to think through it. I'm trying to think through it.
I know, but I'm just saying, because... Like, we can't make that part of our consideration. I think I agree with enough
detail to understand what was going on, but we weren't given more than what we needed, whatever level that would be.
Yeah, this could have absolutely been just treated straight up with not enough care, or with just straight up no, and there are so many layers, and there is care taken, both to protect the characters and to protect us from even just, the thing I talked about in our part 3, just the air of mystery and the fact that we don't actually know 100% how it's going on. That feels, we then get these little revelations of what is actually happening, and some of them are incredibly horrific, but like, we're also not watching them happen on screen, which gives us and the characters this layer of protection.
Said that it's interchangeable, which meant that it could have been a different thing that could have been handled better.
Oh, yes, but that rating is separate.
But that's not how we don't care about that. Yeah, we don't care about what if you could have, because there's so many things you could have done. The question is, what did they do? And what the author did was give us that separation where if you were to map this out as a horror movie and we were to see everything on screen, this would be terrible. This would be awful and horrific, but it's not. It's spooky, and you're just removed enough that you have care. And I think
I was able to read through it and was fine.
And Heather has issues with that.
I
which is important.
Do great with different gore things.
There's a reason Nicole and I do this podcast, generally speaking, and not one of us and Heather.
At some point, I was going to make a joke about you and Heather doing the romance books, but I don't think Heather would care about that either. So,
no, I would like the romance books.
Okay, well, then you all can do romance.
Robin and I can do romance. That's fine. I don't know how, analytical we would be, but
for survivor's guilt, I think this might be not enough.
It's so pervasive.
There's not a lot of cushion.
Like,
there's little to no cushion.
There's little to no cushion, but also there's no, and this is the only thing I'm going to say about it, and I don't want to dig into it further or give it different wording.
Sure.
There is no harm that the main character is bringing onto themselves deliberately because of this guilt. There are ways that it could have been just not treated with care, and there are things that could have happened that would have made it very much worse. And I realize I'm echoing Heather's wording that I said we don't do, but my point is, Oh, no, that's not true. I was talking about something else. But anyways, I think it is not enough because I think that we were given a cushion there in a way that is very easy to... I actually thought that was coming in the book, and then it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the way our main character treats themselves
with it the whole time.
the way our main character treats themselves, I think it takes it out of the no category and into not enough.
Mm-hmm.
But that's as far as it gets us.
Yeah. All right. So not enough care for the guilt.
And then,
for the life drain,
I think this is fine.
Yeah.
Is it yes or is it enough? Because honestly, both of you have described the ending scene as visceral, and I thought it was the most tame, chill.
I don't think it was
visceral.
Happened and was I just
done.
think that it was very clear on what needed to be done. The actual description is kind of visceral, but the thing that needs to be taken care of is
the minor magical surgery is pretty visceral. The actual life drain
is, like, fine.
This is why I'm saying I'm deferring to both of you, because I didn't find the ending scene visceral in any way.
Oh, cool. The life drain itself is kind of just, it's there. It's stated.
I'd say this is treated with care.
Okay.
Just straight up.
Sounds like a plan. Point of view. Who is our point of view?
I mean,
Lula.
The whole book is Lula.
Yeah, because it's one of those.
Yeah.
Yep. Entire book, Lula.
It's part of why everything is so in your face is because it's all her thoughts.
All right. Trope spotter. We have our zombies are different. Number 1, they're called Casimuertos. Yeah. So that's where you have some way in which the zombies are definitely different from many other depictions of zombies, and that matters for plot reasons, but also they're similar enough that you can, generally speaking, call them zombies, which is a thing that the characters in this book do pretty interchangeably with Casimuertos as a term.
I mean, I like that they were the way they were because zombies in general for me are boring.
Mm-hmm.
So this was interesting.
Yeah. Which is why our zombies are different is such a popular trope.
Yeah.
And it works well here. Favorite non-traumatic thing about the book?
So this is why I asked earlier, make the mental note. What was it related to?
I don't know.
I didn't actually hear. I didn't actually lodge in my brain the exact word you said, because when you said, remind me of this later, that replaced what you had said previously. So, Heather, I'm reminding you.
It's something to do with descriptions, and I can't remember what.
What section were we in? Was it 3?
No, it was
the guilt section.
Yeah.
Was it,
well,
the description of the objects?
Oh, it's, the descriptions of we were talking about the book. I know that that's not actually the thing that sparked it, but that is what's sparking in my brain now. Who knows how my brain works? I don't. So the descriptions of how the cantos work are so cool. They're not 1,000 little tiny details for every little whatever, but they are enough that your brain just goes wild and is following and is, here's the chaos and here's why everything matters. And in this book there's a significant one and it's pretty good. You hit the end and I felt like I went through it to an extent. So yeah, that's gonna be my favorite non-traumatic thing. I don't know if that was what I was thinking of earlier, but it is one.
It is now.
It is now.
Yep.
I'm
still thinking.
I think my favorites are traumatic. Oops.
Whoops, all trauma.
Well, okay. My favorite moments are the things that both of you thought were traumatic that I didn't have that reaction to. So, I'm not going to go into spoiler details, but the ending scene I thought was really cool, and I thought it was really easy to visualize, and I thought it made a lot of sense, and I also thought in general that it drew the plot together in a really good way, because this was a book where, as I've said a couple times, it kind of felt like it was it kind of felt like it was an accidental mystery. And I legitimately didn't know where it was going until like the last chapter, basically. Because we had a lot of pieces, but I didn't know how they were going to actually all connect together. And
there's so many pieces that you're not normally trying to connect together.
Right. Well, that was the other question, was like if I was reading a book in a slightly different genre, I could have, probably pieced together like, oh, these things are going to connect somehow. This is going to be something else. Like there would have been threads, but I didn't have that like grounding, I guess, for this series. So, I was just kind of reading it and just kind of like, what's okay, interesting. This is a lot of things we have juggling here. What's going to be the thing? And then it was more precise and more logical than I was expecting. And I really liked that ending.
My favorite thing is the Lady de la Muerte. I love how she is specifically the goddess of death and the mortal earth's dawn. Now, given the exact syntax of it, I don't know if she's the goddess of death and the goddess of the mortal earth's dawn, or if she is literally the mortal earth's dawn. I don't really care either way. It's just great. I like how it has that she is endings and beginnings, and it's like cyclical and like cool themes of stuff. And I just really, I love that description.
I kind of wish we had more interactions with her.
Yeah, I definitely thought there was a lot more scenes with her, and then I reread it and I'm like, oh.
They just think about it a lot.
Yeah, like she suffuses the text, but doesn't actually show up very many times. And I wish she showed up more, but that, the point of the book is that she's a little bit unavailable. So
that's very true. I would love a spinoff where we just get to see her, like, I was gonna say day to day, but like her just doing her job. Just like snapshots of the character of the.
I can't promise you that exactly, but what I can tell you is that Zoraida Córdova is writing like an extended universe thing. Like this is the second trilogy set in this universe. There is an earlier trilogy.
Oh, interesting.
That follows different characters.
Have we met any of them?
I already, so like the vampire is, I believe it's the vampire is briefly in the other trilogy.
Nice.
Okay. I don't remember
that
whether
makes sense. That
the
a prequel
vampire
would be them,
and
maybe.
the friend were in there. Yeah, gotcha, Thornhill is a much bigger thing in the other trilogy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That had the feel of like, we have backstory that we're not getting into here, so I'm glad that is
the other trilogy having happened and concluded the way it did is the reason that a mermaid would be having a baby that a land doctor would be going to see.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Yes. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Add that to my
I reviewed that trilogy too.
I don't need to add more books to my TBR pile, but I'm adding it anyway.
Yeah, like it really seems like a lot of things that Zoraida is writing are all going into this extended universe, because even when she had something in an anthology, that thing in an anthology was a Rapunzel retelling that is in this universe. And it's a short story, and it's great. So, yeah. But yes, I like the way the things connect to things, and I really liked the Lady de la Muerte. Heather, thank you so much for joining us. You can briefly say your pluggables. Hopefully people have heard them already because they also listened to the episode on Labyrinth Lost, but just in case.
Remember, this is episode 2.
So you can find me on Twitter at MamaDragon20. And then you can find me on TikTok at MamaDragon_den, Mama Dragon's Den. I am involved in a D&D game every other Sunday that streams. Details are on my Twitter.
It's very fun. And then I am a fairly right now consistent guest with Crit Chat, a DM for D&D advice and comedy podcast. If you're a minor listening to this, don't go check that out. Wait till you're 18. But all of it's very fun. And then I transcribe for these goofballs, so read the transcriptions.
Yeah.
Enjoy
Thank
them.
you. Yes.
Yeah, that's me. All the other stuff that you would need for me should be on my Twitter.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. And both Heather and our audience.
Sorry.
Oh, you have a TikTok now.
Point and Play. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Heather and I
Point
are
and
doing
Play.
a thing.
Nicole and I have another podcast. POINTE and Play. We talk about music and dance fun things, and we are on TikTok as well, where we post things related to music and dance and all of that fun stuff.
Excellent.
Cool. That's me. There you go.
Good. Great. And we will catch you in a fortnight. All music used in this podcast was created by Nicole as Heartbeat Art Co. and is used with permission. Our transcriptionist is Heather. Follow her on Twitter at MamaDragon20. We're proud members of the Certain Point of View Network. Find all the CPOV shows at www.certainpov.com. You can contact us on Twitter at BooksThatBurn or by email at booksthatburn@yahoo.com. Please consider leaving us a tip at ko-fi.com/booksthatburn or becoming a monthly supporter on patreon.com/booksthatburn. All patrons get access to our upcoming book list, bonus content, including the second half of all interviews, and will receive a one-time shout-out. To get updates on our written reviews, recent episodes, and newly completed transcripts, subscribe to our fortnightly newsletter at buttondown.email/booksthatburn. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Please leave us a review wherever you're listening. This helps people to find the show. Thanks for listening. We'll be back in 2 weeks.